Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. After 9 million years, I am Fofo.
I'm Bones, and this is Silva.
Yes, we are back, but let's get to it. This episode is sponsored by Garmin Philippines. And on my wrist, I have the black version of the Garmin Venu 2.
And I have the white and gold version of the Garmin Venu 2S.
And it's been amazing in helping us and motivating us to live healthier lifestyles. Now, that's something we've already tried to do for most of our lives, pero mas nale-level up siya dahil sa Garmin watches natin. Because I'm not kidding, the features on this watch are actually really amazing.
Yes, and Garmin actually wants to help you work on a better you, so that includes training effectively, moving stylishly. So, si Fofo siguro yung training effectively kasi nakapang-workout siya. Tas ako na yung moving stylishly.
Yeah. I'm working out right after we shoot this podcast. And at the same time, if you want to know a bit more, you can check out our IGTVs or follow Garmin Philippines at Facebook. It is at
Garmin Philippines or on Instagram at GarminPH.
And with that, we get to the topic of our podcast. And the topic is
age. Sinong matanda? Not me.
Ako na ang matanda dito. I am 33 years old. Bonizi, how old are you?
Well, I'm not that far off. I'm 31 years old, turning 32. You're turning 34. So let's not kid ourselves. Hindi na tayo mga bata.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, I don't really care that much about age. What do you think, Bones?
I mean, I haven't cared about it
for
a while. But before, when I was younger, age was such a big factor for me.
Not even younger. Dude, when Bonizi and I first met, age was a big deal for her. And age is a big deal for some of our friends, some of our co-workers. And this is why we decided we want to make it the topic of our podcast. Because apparently, something that is ingrained in stone, something that we can never get away from, aging or age, is such a controversial and taboo topic to the point that you should never ask anybody.
I know, I was just gonna say.
About their age.
Like, if you ask somebody their age, it's considered rude for a lot of people. I tend not to ask for that because for me, parang hindi naman yata dapat yun yung basihan mo sa judgment mo sa isang tao, di ba?
Yeah. So let's talk about age in a more structured way. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So when we were kids, Bonizi, how did you think about age?
Well, age for me was such a big factor in what I was doing. I felt that at a certain age, I had to achieve certain goals. So let's say at 18, I had to be more independent because that's what I saw was the norm for a lot of people. Diba sabi nila sa US daw pag 18, kailangan umalis ka na ng bahay ng magulang mo. Kailangan you should be on your own. So I thought at that point at 18, kailangan mas independent ako sa mga magulang ko. Although, hindi siya nangyari.
For me naman, when I was younger, I don't think I thought about age in terms of getting old. My first impression or first memory of when age mattered in my life was during basketball season.
Bakit?
When you're going up through grade school or through summer leagues, you're always matched up sa mga ka-age mo. So if I'm 11 years old, lahat ng mga grade 5 at that time, at lahat ng mga ka-11 years old, yun yung mga kalaban mo. And the 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds were just always so much bigger, so much taller. So when you have this super talented dude or super tall guy, you're like, ay, overage ka.
Oh, so you would make tukso the ones that looked older.
Oo, parang for us, that was our way of justifying, how are you so much bigger than us?
Yeah.
Diba? How are you so much better than us? Baka overage ka. So, yun
overage pag may kili-kili hair na. Ganon.
Diba? Mag-free throw siya, biglang may buhok, may facial hair na siya, may body hair na siya.
So you're like, I'm
tapos kami tumitingin kayo, sabi namin, hindi bro,
pa.
overage ka. So, if I try to think back, that was my first run-in with the concept of how age would work in our society. And even until now, even in the UAAP seasons, you have these foreigners supposedly with controversial birth certificates.
Okay.
So it really still does play a huge role, especially in sports. So that just so happened to be my first memory of it.
Actually, now that you make kwento that situation, I remember when I was in high school, siguro mga first year, second year, these were the ages na inaabangan mo because these are the times na magkaka-period ka na, like you start growing and becoming more of a
Oh
woman.
my God, yeah.
So like when you're 12, 13, you start thinking, yeah, maybe around this time I'm gonna get my period. How am I gonna feel about this? Like, are they gonna tease me because I'm like 15 and I don't have my period yet? Parang like these were things that would go through our heads as women or as young girls. Na, oh my gosh, like our bodies are changing, as the years go by. So I think when I was in grade school, Fofo, I remember maybe when you're like grade 6, it was normal for you guys to wear a sando, for girls to wear a sando. And you could see it kasi in the uniform, medyo may pagka-see-through sa eh. So when somebody hit the age of like 12, I think that's like for grade 6, you're like, magbabra na to. And it's like so conscious talaga. Like, mako-conscious ka na parang, oh my gosh, magba-birthday ako. What if like my mom gives me a bra for my birthday? Parang nakakahiya. So, just like things about that na ina-anticipate mo when you reach a certain age.
I never thought about that, Bones. I have 2 sisters, and I never thought about the times that they maybe first had to change the way they dress,
Yeah.
how changes in their body happened. So that's really, really interesting.
And when you reach the teenage years, like when you're 13, oh my gosh, that's like such a big step. You're like, wow, I'm 13. I feel like a teenager already.
I was just about to say that. Because when you're 13, what can you do?
What?
You can watch PG-13 movies. It was such a
You're
big
right.
deal.
You're
Especially
right.
because back then there was no internet, so my mom and dad and titas would rely on the newspaper.
Yeah.
And if it would say GP, PG-7,
Yeah.
PG-13. So these were all milestones for us. I think Titanic was PG-13.
PG-13 lang yun?
PG-13
Parang dapat
yun.
yata hindi PG-13 yun.
And I was like, oh, I shouldn't watch it. Because syempre my parents would tell us these are the things you have to follow.
Yeah.
So in my head, syempre being a kid, okay, yes, mom, yes, dad, I will follow that. These were certain milestones that we would hit. Of course, this was back then. I think the ratings are just a little bit different. Meron pa rin tayong PG-13.
Yeah.
These are just the ways that age plays into our society and actually forms a lot of our childhood and how we grow up.
I was thinking how age was such a big factor for us when we were younger, but how big of a factor is it as you're growing up into becoming a young adult, into becoming an adult and, looking forward to the future?
Just an extra story. I remember we were in SM Mega Mall and it was a Sunday and parang na-cancel yung pasok no Monday.
Okay.
So we had a family lunch with all of the cousins and then we were like, oh my God, walang pasok. So everyone decided, let's go to the movies. And I think we wanted to watch Independence Day.
Oh, okay.
And then they found out it was PG-13 and all of us kids were there. I wasn't 13.
Yeah.
We ended up watching Flubber.
Flubber, but that's such a cute movie though.
No, but I think I would imagine that all the titos and titas were so disappointed.
Because they're like, we want to watch
Because they
Independence
probably
Day.
wanted to watch Independence Day. And then they ended up watching some green goop.
Okay, so now moving forward, when we're young adults and all that, I met you when I was 20 years old. And you met me when you were 22 years old. So at that time, did you already feel like an adult or were you still in that parang, I'm still a youngin'?
I guess a young adult. Definitely not like adult because you would think adults are like 30s and 40s and 50s. You would think differently of those
Yeah.
of those age groups. When I was a teenager, I never ever thought of myself as old. You know how some people think that when you're 18, 17, 19, you're already, I'm so old relative to where I was.
I was that person. I thought that at 18 years old, I was like, yeah, I'm an adult, I'm old, I can do whatever I want. Because I had that mindset na,
Oh, but you were old excited. For others, they're like, oh, I'm so old na.
I didn't have that.
Okay.
I wasn't like scared of getting old. I
Yeah.
was like, yes, so much more responsibility. I can do whatever I want. I can make my own decisions. Medyo mayabang pa yung dating.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because I didn't feel scared old, but my sister would cry and break down when she
Really?
would think about just the concept of getting old, which was obviously inevitable. And it was just funny, to me at least,
Okay.
because syempre, I didn't have that fear. And it just goes to show you also how so many people view this thing differently and in wide ranges. Like you have one who's excited, me who's just like, whatever.
whatever.
Another one who's like nervously breaking down. just at the thought of it. So you're right though. There are responsibilities that come with age, and those are things I never thought about.
Yeah, but I never thought about the real responsibility about being an adult. I thought about the fun stuff. Like, yeah, I can go out. I can probably like go to a bar and like have a drink with my friends. Like, these are the things that I thought about. Medyo may pagka fun adult yung nasa isip ko. So when it came to relationships, what did you have in mind about age? Because I know that may mga tao talaga na pagdating sa kanilang jowa, ay gusto nila may certain age silang dinidikit. So, ikaw ba particular ka ba sa ganun dati?
Okay, yes, there definitely was a certain way that I would think about it, and I think this was brought up because of the basketball leagues.
Okay.
Na kung saan tinatapat lagi kami sa ka-age.
Okay.
And when I was 17, 18, college years also, I always had this mindset that I wanted a girlfriend who was exactly my age. And even just +1 or -1 was like,
Deal breaker na yun para sa'yo?
Kasi you know how before 1 year older or 1 year younger was such a big difference. Sometimes
Yes,
in
in
terms
high
of
school,
height,
yeah.
sometimes in terms of like skills on the basketball
Uh-huh.
court. It was such a big difference. And I guess hindi na yun nawala sa isip ko. Just looking back, I'm trying to retroactively assess myself.
Yeah, so when it came to like mga high school or college, if a girl was like a year older than you, you'd probably think, she's too mature for me.
Not even. It just felt weird.
Really?
Not even too mature. I never thought about maturity. I just thought, you're just different. You're like a year older than me. So, true enough, my first girlfriend was ka-age ko. So, I was
yeah,
like,
exactly
okay.
ka-age mo.
Exactly ka-age ko. It just felt so weird to me. And I think it was the way I was brought up. The basketball leagues that I would join.
Yeah.
And I can say that because I think my brothers, to a certain extent, had this mindset. And then eventually we had our own ways and experiences of breaking that down. Obviously, I don't care now. You're 2 years younger. I'll talk about it a bit later on, but obviously my concepts and thoughts about age are very different now.
Yes. Okay. So for me naman, I think it was interesting to see, the game at play if ever there was a guy that I liked na mas older. Siguro the crush that I had before.
So you like them old?
No. Siguro mga the oldest guy that I ever had a crush on was like maybe 5 years older than me. But nothing above that. Siguro maybe Hollywood levels na yung parang admiration ko. Like I like people like Brad Pitt or like Edward Norton. Pero like somebody that I knew, it didn't go above 5 years. And then maybe kung younger naman, I had a crush on somebody that was like 2 or 3 years younger than me.
Whoa, that's big. Because if you were like 15, that person would be like
No.
12.
Siguro I was like mga 18, tapos 15.
15?
Pero parang crush lang naman. Hindi naman like from afar.
15?
Cute
At
siya.
18?
Cute kasi siya.
I don't know. Okay, so just to add a story to me. Sunod-sunod kaming magkakapatid.
Okay.
86, 88, 89,
Okay.
90, 91, 92. So because of that, that also added to my protectiveness of my age range.
Okay.
Like 1 year above was Nikki's. That's your space.
Okay.
A year under me was Kiara's space. So parang each year had some ownership in my family already.
Yeah.
So I think that added, okay, I'm 1988. So this is my space. So
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with people in my space. Because if you're like 89, you're more Kiara's space.
Gets. Pero I never like acted on it. As in parang, cute naman siya. From afar
You're
lang
so
naman.
defensive. We weren't talking about
Kasi
that
naman,
anymore.
ikaw kasi, you were like, hello, grabe ka naman. Baka naman isipin ng tao, may ginawa ako. Wala naman.
And before we get to our mid-episode break, Bonizi, what else do you want to talk about with age when we were younger?
You remember the song from Blink-182, What's My Age
What's
Again?
My Age Again?
I
Yes.
always had that song in mind because they had a line there na parang 23 was like the worst year or the most unlucky year daw for them. So I had this vision in my head, like, siguro sobrang unlucky talaga yung 23 years old na pagdating ko ng 23, nako Megan, maghanda ka na. Like, I don't know why, but it was just always stuck in my head na 23 or being 23 years old would be such a challenging year because of that song. Nadala ako sa kanta. Bakit ganon? Ikaw ba, did you have anything like hindering you from pushing through or like you had some
No, I would
hurdles?
say it was more of just milestones. So you had the movie milestone of getting PG-7, PG-13, R18 was also a thing for me, I guess. Then you also had sports milestones because
Okay.
there was always a 13 and under, 16 and under, 18 and under. So I guess for me, my milestones were more based on those two things.
Gotcha.
And I can't think of anything else.
I did have one milestone though, for work and for career. So during the time that, hindi pa ako nagme-Miss World, but I saw people that I would work with being successful at a certain age. So there was a group of people that I really looked up to at that time. And they were all successful around the age of like 25, 26, and they were really going at it with their careers. And I told myself, kailangan, pag 25, 26 ako, successful din ako. So I guess I just had that mindset to really grind to like get to that point.
And with that, we would like to take a break just to remind you guys that this podcast episode is sponsored by Garmin Philippines. And as we were saying a while ago, you can watch the IGTV to let us show you what kind of features there are in this amazing smartwatch. But right now, we want to run down the list. Bonizi, what can this smartwatch do for us?
Well, one of the things that I really like about the Garmin Venu 2S is that it tracks my stress levels. And I didn't realize how stressed I could be at certain points of the day. So when I check my watch and see na, medyo mataas yata yung stress levels ko, I take a minute and I can just, relax and meditate, stay away from my computer or whatever it is that caused this stress to really rise up. So it's a good indicator.
For me, one of my favorite features is the sleep monitor because I get to track how long I slept and the quality of sleep that I had.
Yeah.
Especially because there are times when I want to sleep super duper long, but I check out my watch and I check if I had good night's sleep and I say, okay, I had a good night's sleep, let me get up. So it helps supercharge my day and also helps motivate me to get up and actually do my work. So what else, Bonizi?
Well, aside from that, there's also preloaded exercises on the watch that you can follow. So if you are health buffs like Bones and Fofo, wink wink, then you can get the Garmin Venu 2 or the Garmin Venu 2S para tuloy-tuloy ang Balik Alindog program nyo.
So we will talk about Garmin Philippines and our Venu 2 and Venu 2S watches a bit more towards the end of this episode. But with that, we're going back to the podcast. Bonizi, we are at present day. How do you feel about age?
What's my age again? What's my age again? I forget sometimes how old I am.
I always forget how old I am. I always have to ask Bones when I'm filling up application forms. Bonizi, how old am I again?
Sometimes you have to do the math pa. Like the current year minus the year that you were born just to figure it out.
And it's been this way for a couple of years already.
Yeah.
Since I hit like 31.
Really?
30 I think was cool. I could remember I was 30. And then after that, it was like, I went through too many numbers.
I wonder if it's a factor because we don't really celebrate our birthdays that we tend to not really care about our age. I guess that also, tells us na you guys really don't care about how old you are because we don't celebrate our birthdays. It's not something that we focus on.
Okay, so Bonizi, we already established that at the moment, we don't remember our age. It just does not matter in our lives that much. But let's think about why would it matter for some people?
Yeah, I think for some people, especially for some women, a big factor for them is their biological clock, so to say.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine.
Diba?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So parang one thing that I hear from a lot of people is like, you have to get pregnant before you're 35 because after you're 35, mahihirapan ka daw talaga magbuntis and to have a baby and to conceive. So this is a factor that, I think about from time to time because
I've thought about also as well.
I mean, I'm 31, I'm turning 32 in a couple of months, and people keep bugging me na parang, why don't you guys start trying to make kids already, diba? Why don't you start having kids? Because you're almost 35 and we wouldn't want you to have a hard time when it came to having a baby. And what if it comes to a point that you're past that biological clock age and you can't have kids?
Okay, so what's your conclusion there?
For me, it's not a big factor.
So you don't feel any pressure whatsoever in terms of your ticking biological time bomb?
Maybe 5% pressure.
Okay, so super konti lang.
Super konti lang. Like, I think about it from time to time, but, it's not a big factor for me.
And I support Bonizi. I think the crazy thing here is that, of course, Bonizi is the baby carrier. Okay, and I am merely the baby injector. And
it takes two to tango.
but at the end of the day, she is still the person that will become pregnant. So I respect that, but I think that there are certain situations wherein the husband feels more pressure on the biological clock of the woman
Yeah.
when the woman is not ready yet.
Yeah, I think it depends. Depends on the couple. There are some couples that the husband wants it more than the wife, or vice versa. Or maybe the both of them want to have kids right away. Or maybe you're like Bones and Fofo that don't want to have kids right away.
Yeah, and I think that is a tough situation kung hindi nag-a-align yung mga kailangan or yung mga gusto
Yeah.
ng couple. And I guess that's where communication is key. I've seen some people ask already, paano yan kung gusto ng isa, ayaw pa ng isang partner. And communication is really just key, and being open. Some people want to live their life a very certain way, but
Yeah.
I always say you're putting so much pressure on life to go a certain way for you.
Yeah.
When there are literally countless other possibilities that are more likely to happen. So I think being open has been our key to being happy. Like whatever happens, come what may, sige lang ng sige, we'll just be happy with what's there.
So, aside from the biological clock, our body also has its clock ticking, because the other week I actually pulled a muscle on my back. And that's when I realized,
While
oh my
doing a warm up.
while doing a warm up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm old. That's the first time I ever said that.
Literally 10 seconds into her warm up, she goes, Fofo, ouch, ang sakit. And I'm like looking at her because she's planking. Guys, she was planking.
I was doing the taps like this.
I was just laughing. I couldn't even help her because I was laughing so hard. Because I was like, oh my god, 10 seconds into it. And she got injured. Like, she literally pulled it. She had herself checked by a PT already. And it's just funny because I was going to say that the one thing that I do feel in relation to my age is my fitness mortality. So I have always been an extremely active person. Thank God I have never had any major or serious injuries, surgeries, or operations.
Yeah.
But even then, I can already feel my fitness level going down.
That's
and
a lot coming
declining-
from you.
And declining at a rapid pace if I don't stay active.
Yeah.
Like, I would say end of 2019 to now would be my most inactive years of my life.
Yeah.
And that's a bad decision on my part because this is also the time that everything's declining. So it would have been smart for me to make that my more active years of my life.
I know.
But what's done is done. Let's work with what we have. And what we have right now is a sludgy, pudgy fofo. I am
Di naman
working
halata,
on
okay
it.
lang.
Yeah.
Pero what's important is how we feel on the inside, syempre.
So it's definitely something that I'm working on, and I've really had to look for motivation to push myself and different kinds of motivation. We're in a different place of our lives already.
Yeah.
I don't have any goals of dunking on anyone in the basketball court or looking like Arnold on photos. I guess I've had to rewire my brain to think about, okay, what motivates me to hit the gym, stay in it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I used to be able to stay in the gym for literally half a day.
Yeah, both of us.
Go in at 9 a.m. and come out at 3 p.m. and I would have done 2 workouts already and eaten my lunch. And now I guess motivations are just a bit different. I want to play a bit more video games, stay on my computer, work on the internet.
It's crazy, no? Like before, I remember our schedule would be Pilates. I'll go to Pilates while you're at the gym already, and then after Pilates, susunod ako sa'yo sa gym.
Yeah, and then I'll have some lunch, and then when her Pilates is done, we'll meet again at the gym and then work out. And then I had these protein shakes and workout supplements, everything. I had the whole shebang, and it was amazing. It was a great time. This is the first time we're actually telling this story.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, so what are your goals now for your workout?
My goal right now is to get into a routine.
Okay.
Like super baby steps, and I acknowledge that. I think some people, when they realize their fitness mortality, they always want to go back to the glory days.
Yeah,
And
sometimes I think that also.
And I think that's the most dangerous thing because we're older and we're different. And you can't just jump back to a certain place and time in the past just like that. I believe that it's something that you have to work for. And if you cut corners, then something could happen. For others, maybe nothing happens. But for others, maybe they get injured.
Yeah.
Maybe, they're dismayed or disappointed by the results that they see. So I think that's one thing that age has and that a lot of people have, which is maybe some sort of regret or hanging on to glory days, whichever their glory days may be. For some people, that's high school. Maybe it was a time in college. Maybe it was a time when they were super fit when they were younger. For me, the past is the past. I'm happy with what has happened, and I'm happy with whatever my best is at this age?
Actually, I'm glad that you said that because whenever I would go to Miss World to host the show, parang I would feel so pressured because because
I'm laughing so hard because she didn't even have to say that. I would always see it in her face.
I would feel so pressured because my body is not the same like how it used to be when I was competing. Like I was so skinny when I was competing for Miss World. And obviously after that, I wasn't, I didn't have the same body after that. And every time I go during like the end of the year, I'm like, wow, I got like extra curves, and these girls, like when they stand next to me, they look stick thin. So parang I had like this image in my head like, gosh, ano bang kailangan kong gawin para maging ganito kapayat ulit? Woo! But then I realized, like now, when I talk to my trainer, sabi ko, I don't want to be that skinny because I know that it's not healthy for me to get back to that kind of shape. And my goals now for when I work out is I want to be strong, and if it happens that
Thick girl.
I think it's a thick girl,
Oh,
but
okay.
strong girl. If and when I do get pregnant and I have to carry a baby, at least I'll be able to, be strong enough to carry that weight.
You know what? That's a nice segue, Bonizi. We're moving on to the physical aspect of age, which is a huge
Yeah.
controversial topic nowadays because
It's not just
you
about
have
feeling old, it's about looking old.
people are looking old when they don't want to look old. So Botox and plastic surgery and all these things. Bonizi, thoughts on this?
Okay, so Mikael always...
Have you ever done Botox?
I've never done any Botox.
I have done a lot of Botox in my jaw. No, I'm kidding. I always tell people that and they're like, whoo. I'm always kidding about it.
Yeah, but some people do that so that they can get the jaw. That's actually a real thing. That's probably why they believe you.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
a real
didn't know.
thing, okay? So, actually, I don't know if I'd ever do something like Botox because one, I'm afraid of needles.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with sticking a needle in my face. And two, parang, I think I want to actually age and see what I look like. Like
Yeah.
naturally. Like I just want to see like the natural age in my face. I know that I'm going to lose collagen as the days go by or as the years go by. And I'm definitely going to get wrinkles because Fofo says he sees some here or there. But, I'm just going to keep on doing what I normally do, like go to the derma, use my moisturizer. But I have been thinking of using retinol, which they say...
Oh, I've been using retinol, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ahead of you.
So maybe just things like that, but I don't think I'm gonna like inject anything into my face.
Yeah, and that's fair game. But if for those who feel like they want to go through the Botox or
That's their thing.
dermatology route, that's all cool. But I think that a lot of people have passed so much judgment
Yeah.
on
wag
doing
naman.
this or not doing this. But everybody really,
To each his own.
has their own choices and whatever makes them happy. And I think that one thing that people should look out for, whether you go that route or not, is really just being happy with whatever is there.
Or
diba?
whatever your decision is.
Or whatever your decision
Yeah.
is, and that there's no shame. Because I don't know, for me, living a life of where you're trying to hide embarrassment, I think that's very tough.
Yeah,
At
it
least
is.
for me. So this is just my choice. This is a choice that I've made in my life. That yes, I will have wrinkles. Yes, I will have eye bags. And yes, we will have droopy skin sooner than later. And I told Bonizi that, you know what? When we look at our photos and we're like, darn, man, we saggy looking. Let's just laugh about it because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to look like a Miss World contestant for the rest of your life, it's not gonna happen.
I don't want to
It's
anyways.
never happened.
I don't want to.
So these are just the choices and decisions that we've made, and we made this so that we're happy no matter what.
Yeah.
Kasi yun yung parang naging priority namin. For others, there are different priorities. Maybe looking young is a more important priority than being happy. And that's fair game, dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, your choice is your life. Not a problem for us. But we just wanted to share what we have come to a decision to. And if people can relate to that, then great. Tell us your stories in the comment section. If you have opposing views, that's also completely fine. Put that in the comment section as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something we can talk about in another episode.
What do you guys really think about age and aging? And with that, we end our podcast.
And I would like to remind everybody that this podcast episode is sponsored by Garmin Philippines, specifically our Garmin smartwatches. I have the Venu 2.
And I have the Venu 2S, and if you guys want to get a hand on one of these, it's priced at 22,995 pesos, and you can get it from the official Garmin brand stores,
And
online
of course,
stores.
the online stores. There's kinetic.com.ph, you have Lazada, Shopee, and the Garmin PH Viber community.
The Venu 2 and Venu 2S Garmin devices have the fitness age feature, which is an estimate of your fitness level compared to your actual age. This feature uses chronological age, your weekly activity, resting heart rate, and BMI or body fat percentage to estimate if your body is younger or older than you are. With moderate exercise, you can improve your metabolic function and your body can be younger than it really is. We can't lower our actual age, but we can lower our fitness age. So get a Garmin to estimate your fitness age, get moving and exercise so you can work towards staying young.
So do not forget to visit the official Garmin website at ph.garmin.com to find out more details about the beautiful smartwatches that we are wearing right now.
Yes, and you can also follow them on Facebook, that's Garmin Philippines, and on Instagram at GarminPH for the latest updates.
And with that, we have come to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fofo.
And I'm Bones, and tulog na tulog si Soba dito.
And you're watching #Behind Relationship Goals.
See you guys, bye!